help aviation companies sell more of their products and services.
I help her do that work on the back end.
Your pitch is so easy.
Well, yeah, saying what I say is easy, but
doing what you do is not.
Yeah, the technical stuff, yeah, sometimes gets interesting.
Right.
Mark Parry, globalaircraftgroup.com, and I do aircraft appraisals on all aircraft and mostly business jets.
Fantastic. And you also do expert witness stuff, right?
Yep, expert witness.
Cool.
Yes, hi everyone. Annamarie Buonocore with InFlight USA. I am the co-publisher, monthly general aviation news magazine. It's been in my family for 38 years. And we also have a BizJet publication that's a little bit more glossy, and it's called BizAvJets USA, and that caters more to the charters and lifestyle BizJet market. And that's me.
Fantastic. The thing that everybody wants is to get their product or their service mentioned in a magazine and to be able to put the InFlight USA logo on their website and say, as mentioned in Flying Magazine or InFlight USA or Plane and Pilot or the Rob Report or whatever. And I think that's still true, even though a lot of the magazines have been acquired. We were just talking about how Flying Magazine, it's a 94-year-old magazine, and it was just acquired by FreightWaves, which is a digital media provider. So that's probably going to cause some changes in the way that they distribute the magazine and things like that. So, Annamarie, I'm sure you probably have had some thoughts about how your business model has changed over the last few years, and
Well, sure, yeah, it definitely has changed over the years. I mean, we're still family owned and operated. I'm out doing deliveries today, which goes to show how family owned and operated we are, that we kind of wear all the hats. And yes, it's true that some magazines have been acquired by bigger corporations, and we too have other titles under our roof. And we've also seen a lot of shifting to digital and video and podcasts, and we offer those services. A lot of people don't know that about us, but we have a lot of business partners and people who work within our company who do digital ads and video and video placements and digital placements, and we have a lot going on. So there's lots of different ways that you can work with us, from doing an interview that could be featured in our magazine, to being on our podcast, to doing traditional advertising or non-traditional digital advertising. So I'd like to think that we've managed to keep up with a lot of the bigger companies, but we're still family owned and operated, and I'm very proud of that.
Right. Well, as you should be. And I know you just started a YouTube channel, which is very promising, I think, for aviation news. A lot of people are going that direction as well.
Yes, exactly. And we plan to feature more videos. We have some great episodes, great videos out there of people going to air shows and taking videos with their phones. And just some of our writers have done a great job with that. And we look forward to sharing them with you.
Excellent. And Mark, I know you're working with someone also on video as well. Is that kind of the direction that you're thinking for the next little while? And
Yes, one of the big list of things I need to get done. But I talked to a gentleman last week, and he has, I think, a steerman at a local airport, and then we're trying to get 3 other aircraft to shoot 4 videos in one shot.
Nice.
So, yeah, and then after that, we have a game plan to feature 1 aircraft there, indefinitely, kind of a same format.
Mm-hmm.
Go around the aircraft and describe it, and try to get some interest that way, and then an estimated market value.
Right. And a lot of the brokers I know have been shifting more to video as it gets less expensive and easier to do. because you can show so much more information, and it's so nice to be able to do a kind of a virtual walk around of an aircraft that you're thinking about. You don't want to just jump on an airplane and go look at every single airplane that comes up on controller, but one that has a video walk around really kind of helps people make up their mind to consider that one more seriously than others that don't have quite so much information about them, right?
I'm trying to do something a little bit different. I want to try to make it so that people will watch it, and click in on it all the time, and then maybe do feature interviews with other appraisers.
Oh, cool.
To get them advertising also.
Yeah, smart.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be cool to see how your channel evolves and
yeah, it'll work out.
Right. So working with the press, in terms of other ways to do it, have either of you had experience with press releases, and what are your thoughts about those, if you have any ideas?
Well, we feature a lot of press releases in our magazine, and we can also help people write PR. My coworker and I do a lot of PR for people. We write it, and then we not only run it in our magazine, but they can share it on their website. They can share it on their social media pages. They can share it any which way, and they can also send it to other publications if they wanted to. So yes, we have a lot of experience with PR and press releases, and that is a big part of our business that we do. And I really enjoy that part because I'm a writer and I enjoy doing that kind of thing for people. So if that's ever needed, we're here to help with that too.
Fantastic. Do you receive press? I mean, speaking as, if you can put your editor hat on for a minute, do you receive press releases from the wire services, and do you run those, or what's your opinion of those PR Wire and like Press Advantage and Reuters and AP and those kinds of things?
Yes, we do. We are on those mailing lists, and we do receive press releases from the wire services, and it's great because that provides leads, and sometimes we'll call up those companies and see if they're interested in advertising or doing an interview with us or doing one of the services that we offer. So we like getting those, and we try to run them on a space available basis. But if you're a paying advertiser in one way or another, we prioritize your PR. We also are on the emailing lists for certain companies and make sure that they send us their press releases every month. So yes, there's a lot of different ways that we go about receiving them, and the wire services are one of them.
Okay. But it's probably better if someone wanted something published, or was really intent on getting their news out, to reach out to you directly rather than just throwing it on a wire service, I'm guessing.
Well, that's what I would recommend, but there's nothing wrong with being on a wire service. I just think you could get better service from us and from other publications by contacting us directly.
Right. That makes sense. It's more work, but of course it gets better results when you put more work in often. It's sad but true, right?
Yeah.
Right. Cool. I've also seen kind of a trend of publications going to bigger but less frequent publications. So, instead of doing like a monthly subscription magazine, they're going to a quarterly or something along those lines. Have you seen any of that? Or have you thought about
yes,
that?
I mean, my new General Aviation magazine is still monthly, and we like keeping it monthly because when you're selling aircraft, that happens fast.
Yeah.
And we don't want it to be quarterly. But we do have a BizJet magazine that caters more toward the lifestyle and BizJet and charters, and that is quarterly. And I feel that works well for us. It's not so much a buy and sell trading publication like that. It's more of a lifestyle publication. So quarterly works very well.
Right. That makes sense. And I've noticed a lot of the people that I've worked with in the aviation media are no longer working in the aviation media. A lot of folks have gone into real estate and other professions and things like that. And I mean, Rob Mark, who's worked with Flying Magazine forever, he announced the transition, and of course they had some changes with that, and so he's no longer a senior editor at Flying Magazine. So a lot of people's databases of reporters have just kind of been tanked over the last year between COVID and everything else.
Quick question on that. Are you talking about the reporters and the people who work for the magazines, or the publishers?
The reporters and the people that work for the magazines. So if you have contacts at different magazines, a lot of them have, I used to have a database of over 100 people who worked for aviation magazines, and now I'm down to about 10 that I'm absolutely certain are still there, still working, and still people that I call all the time with story ideas and things like that.
Well, our model has always been one where we have freelance writers. We'll send somebody up to the Reno Air races, but they don't work for us full time, and they have a day job, or they have their own business that they do, and they do it on a freelance basis for us. Just because we're a smaller entity, I guess that's why we don't have people working there full time under the reporter hat. We have graphic artists, we have sales people who work full time and get paid a commission plus base. I mean, we do have employees, but as far as the reporters go, we freelance that out.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of the magazines are super lean. I think all of them are super lean. In fact, like I said, went from about 100 people who I knew were full-time writing in the aviation industry to about 10. The rest of them have gotten day jobs and, maybe freelancing still, but they freelance for more than one publication or, whatever they need to do to make an income, because, the business model is totally different than it was before.
Right. Yeah, it is a little different. It just, we've always kind of used freelancers. That was always kind of the case for us. But if you try to make a database or a list of people who are freelance writing, you probably will find a lot of people, because there's a lot of people out there who just love going to these events and going to the airports and taking pictures. I mean, it's definitely something that people enjoy doing. So, but it's more of a side gig than it is a full-time one.
Right, exactly. So I guess for freelance aviation writers, a lot of them, do it for the getting their expenses paid, to a lot of these events, which are expensive, and that kind of thing, rather than, trying to make a living that way seems to be not an ideal anymore.
Right. Yeah, it has shifted. But it is a great way to get a media pass into some of these events and to get some meals and lodging covered if you can work that out, and maybe even make a little bit of money on the article. It's definitely a good side hustle. That's what I would say. And that's how it's always been for us. I know some magazines have full-time people on staff doing that, but for us, it's always been a freelance gig, and we have a lot of really happy freelancers.
Right. That's for sure. Cool. Okay. Any other thoughts about working with the press?
Yeah.
I knew you'd have some.
Hire a professional if you own a company, because I've had 2 experiences with the press personally. One where I was misquoted, and no matter what I did, they would not go back and change it. And that was just disgusting. That really colored my thoughts. Now, when I went to business school, they actually had a news anchor come in and explain to us that to represent your company, you actually need a PR person to do that, because they can make you say anything you want, even though it's not what you want to say. And that was one experience. The other, I inadvertently manipulated the press myself, and they let me do it. my son was in, I don't know, third or fourth or fifth grade, I don't know, somewhere, but had lunch at school. And he'd come home and say, Dad, I'm hungry. I said, well, didn't you get enough to eat? And I didn't get anything at all to eat. I said, why didn't you get anything to eat? Well, they were serving this kid's family style. You can believe that. And by the time the bowl got around to him, there wasn't anything left. So I went down and talked to him and said, well, that's the school board decision. I said, okay. They went to them and said, nope, not changing it. I said, really? That's the way you're going to be? So I went home and I called the local news anchor of the television station and explained to him what's going on, and that me and about 19 or 20 other parents are going to be at the school if you want to come down and talk to us. And they did. And they did not get the other side. So
wow.
That went live, and because it was a federally subsidized thing, they changed it the next week.
I can't believe they were feeding kids family style at an elementary school, but whether this is aviation or not, I mean, you can sometimes get something changed by getting media attention.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if I had a company selling product A, B, or C, and I needed to interface to the press, I'd hire somebody. Hopefully I could find somebody like Paula that knows what the hell's going on, or Annamarie or somebody, because from my perspective, you can't trust them. Reporters, that is.
You raise a lot of valid points. There is a lot of mistrust toward the press, especially in this day and age where things are so biased. What you're getting on the news is not quality journalism. So there is a lot of public mistrust of the press. And you're right that you need professionals to represent you. So, I came on this call late. What is it that you do in aviation, Mark? I'm sorry.
Oh, that was John that was speaking, John Williams with ABCI. Sorry, we didn't.
I'm sorry, I didn't say my name. I wasn't trying to say, trying to hide.
Right.
Well, yeah, I know what you do.
Right, and I think everybody was a little bit. The call started kind of awkwardly, so we probably ought to do introductions, and we can paste them in at the beginning, so that we can, get that in. Right. Because we had some technical difficulties, and I think Mark did as well. But so we'll just do pitches at the end, and I'm actually going to paste them in at the beginning and the end, so that we can save a little bit of time and get right to our office hours and spend a little bit more time. I know Mark has some things he wants to get done, and unless there's anything else I know, there's a ton that we could talk about mistrust of the media and everything else. For the purpose of this podcast, though, this is really for people who are in the aviation industry selling a product or service that the media is a partner or not, or they have an incident or not, or whatever. I know one of our clients had an incident at their airport that they had nothing to do with, but ended up working with the media anyway, kind of unexpectedly. And we decided to put together a kind of a disaster kit for them, brainstorming. Here's 5 possible things that could go wrong, or the 5 most likely things that could go wrong with our company. How are we going to respond if any of these things happen? And this is really important for flight schools, really important for charter companies, really important for anybody who does business on an airport. But I think it's really important for everybody to kind of brainstorm. Here are 3 or 5 things that could possibly go wrong. How am I going to work with the media to deal with that? Do I have a list of reporters I could call who are going to listen to my side of the story? Do I have people on my social media that I can publish my side of the story to? Do I have maybe a press release that's ready to go about there was an incident at the airport, nobody was hurt, You can just fill in the blanks and get out there pretty quickly, because often the person who gets the story out first is the one that everybody listens to.
Right. Yeah, that is important, how to interact with the press in the event getting the facts wrong. And I think that's just a great service to support flight schools and others in the industry, especially manufacturers. In fact, I have somebody on my staff who used to work for a manufacturer, and there was a crash, unfortunately, in another country. And in that country, they didn't know what they were dealing with in terms of the law, in terms of the media. And some of the people actually ended up on trial for murder in France. And it just got really ugly and out of hand. So being prepared in those events, on the press side, on the legal side, I'm all for it. I certainly am all for that.
Right. I have another client that I'm not going to name, that was involved with an aircraft transaction that went badly. Someone was unhappy with the way that it turned out and ended up going to the press. This person actually had some good relationships with people in the media, so they were able to get their side out in a much more credible way than the person who was complaining. And it's sad but true, but I do think that, you need to develop your, what do they call it? Dig your well before you're thirsty, and make sure that you've got somebody that you can call if you ever have a problem and say, hey, here's a story that's happening right now. I wanted to give you some information, and here's the other side, but here's my side as well. And if you want to, if you can use this, then by all means do, because that will help. But
right. Yeah, I know what you mean. Just Yelp reviews gone really ugly.
Yeah, exactly. And often the first story that people hear is the one that they go with, because, first impressions stick with us. So, you hear this company did something wrong, even if they didn't. It's really hard to live that down after the fact. If it takes you a week to get your act together, after an incident and, get your story out there, that's not the same as getting your story out there in 2 days, which is what we shoot for.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's the bad side. And, the good side, of course, is that you want to be the one that reporters call when they have a question or, need an opinion from somebody about, how do I get a good value on an aircraft, or, how do I determine what something is worth, or how do I run a flight school, or, how would this happen in relation to this story?
Oh, yeah. You want to be known as an expert in your field for sure. And, the media can also help you get there, but you do have to be careful sometimes in the day and age of all these reviews, the Google reviews, the Yelp reviews, they can get really ugly, and, it could end up on social media and things like that, and it could really be harmful to your reputation. So it's just a whole new world now, and we have to really be careful.
Right. There's another story that I can tell you about, and that is with a flight school that had a simulator go down, and they had a lot of students who were on site, a lot of foreign students who were paying a lot of money to be here, and their simulator went down for a couple of days, which is a pretty disastrous event. And they got some bad Google reviews because of it. But it wasn't really a fair representation of the school, because, they had 20 years of history of, doing a fantastic job. And what we did with them is what we call reputation management. With Google, we use some software to go back to their entire database and send them a link, saying, please leave us a Google review about your experience with us, even if you were with us, 5 years ago or 2 weeks ago. And they got hundreds of 5-star reviews within a few weeks that really counteracted.
Wow.
They'd never really done anything with Google reviews before. And then, all of a sudden they have 10 bad ones. And, that'll kill you, versus having hundreds of good ones, which, raises their average score to 4.5, So it's really the only way to counter that is to say, okay, this was an anomaly if somebody had a bad experience. We really are a good company, and this really is a much more fair representation of what we do. And the only way to do that is to solicit Google and Facebook reviews. But, that's a little bit different than working with the press, but it kind of is related because it's reputation management, right?
Yeah, that's important. So is that another service that you offer your clients, is reputation management, dealing with reviews and making sure the top reviews are positive?
Yeah. And also, just being alerted to those negative reviews. A lot of people haven't looked, and they had no idea they have bad reviews.
Yeah.
And, if you respond
Right.
to them, and if you can say, hey, we wish you'd, spoken with us, or, let's try and fix this. And, of course, they were working with these folks and gave them some vouchers and other things to help them complete their training without being financially hurt by the sim being down. And, that's all you can do is the best you can do. But, you want to tell your side of the story just the same, whether it's a Google review or whether it's a news story or whatever it is.
Sure. Yes, I definitely get it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good to know. It's good to know that you're looking out for your customers that way and doing what you can to mitigate on social media. A lot of people don't know how to do damage control on there, so that's a really valuable service. So I'll be sure to pass that on if anybody needs that.
Right. I appreciate that. That's cool. That's I think unsung idea. A lot of people think, well, if I'm doing the best job I can, that's all I need to do. But sometimes they wouldn't even know how they're being talked about, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, if you don't bother to look, you'll never know. That's so true.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You don't even have to have an account anymore. Like I remember at one point, if you didn't have a Yelp account, you thought you were safe. But people can write a review anywhere, and you've got to really watch. It could happen on Google. It could happen on Facebook. You just got to be careful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us. This was actually a really cool conversation. I think, there's been so much about the media lately and the good, the bad, and the ugly. So it's definitely part of the community, and we need to be aware of it and use it as we can.
Yep.
All right.
See you guys next time. Stay healthy and happy.